Hello everyone and welcome to Nexus Gaming Series. Tonight we have our Game of the Week between Adults with Jobs and Blasting Burros, our premiere. I am Gravesville. With me tonight is Mongoose and Professor Bobo. And now Bobo, tell us all, what is the Game of the Week?
All right, the NGS Game of the Week. We're starting this up for season number 5. Every week we're going to be bringing you guys a hot matchup of the hots. Tonight, we have Adults with Jobs and Blasting Burros from Division A-West. These are two teams that actually squared off last season, so they are not unfamiliar with each other. Again, the NGS Game of the Week, we are going to try to rotate divisions. We are going to try to pick up as many as we can over the course of the season. We'll get teams from both coasts. We'll go from Storm all the way down to E. And we are blessed tonight to have both of you gentlemen as the hosts.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Well, both of the teams are here. Let's go ahead and start talking about these teams as we look into our keys to the series. Mongoose, what are some points that you have to talk about here?
Well, the good Professor Bobo touched on it. Not only are these teams not unfamiliar with each other, they're very familiar with each other. They played last season in Div A-West. They both played in the Regen Invitational. They were both eliminated by the eventual champions, Order of the Sleeping Dragon. But the last time they played each other was the quarterfinals of the Div A-West playoffs last season. It was number 2 Blasting Burros versus number 7 Adults with Jobs. It was a 2-0 to Blasting Burros, but it was not a typical 2-0. Game 1, Towers of Doom, Adults with Jobs was up 24 core health to 1. Blasting Burros came back in an epic fashion and won a 24-minute game.
That's
Game
crazy.
2, Volskaya Foundry, a 29-minute bloodbath with a combined 37 kills between these two teams.
The best kinds of games. And actually, Goose, Murda and I actually casted that one.
You did.
That was a lot of fun. Adults with Jobs was a team that a lot of people talked about going into the A-West playoffs last season. They were like, this team could have an upset. And Blasting Burros was at the top of the standings all season long. And that was one of the hotter sets that I had definitely all season long.
So you can see at the bottom of the screen, we do have the records up 3-3 versus 4-2, kind of middle of the pack. So this is gonna be a very even matchup. We're only in round number 2, but this is gonna have a lot of impact later on as we look at the standings in Div A-West. So, I mean, obviously this is gonna be an important game for both of the teams as well. So yeah, I'm excited. How do you guys feel about this matchup? Do you feel like it's evenly matched? Do you feel because of their past history that maybe they've learned from one another?
Mongoose, I'll let you take this one away.
Well, in prepping for tonight's cast, I started digging into the incredible stats of the Storm, trying to find those key numbers that would set these teams apart. And there weren't. They were so close in so many categories. And then I read Odd Thought's spectacular piece on this matchup, and he came to the same conclusion I did. Their macro is very similar. Their deaths, their damage, all of that stuff is very similar. Really, the only statistic that sets these guys apart, Adults with Jobs, a much bigger hero pool, 23 heroes to 15 for Blasting Burros. However, neither team has played any heroes more than twice. So when you're targeting these guys in draft, there really isn't something you can hone in on to keep away from them.
Interesting. I mean, there's certainly a couple of comfort picks in there for both sides, and we don't want to ruin it. We'll jump into draft and start to talk about those. But for Blasting Burros, I'm excited to see how they integrate Justice here onto the roster here in season 5. He's been doing a good job thus far. Again, when you have two teams that know each other and have been around and have played with each other for quite a long time. Some of those wrinkles in draft that may look a little odd are really the product of practice and really good preparation. So I'm definitely excited to see if, again, we see something different this time around between the Burros and the adults employed.
Yeah, I'm excited for this matchup right here. It looks like both of the teams are ready to go. So it looks like we're going to get ready for game number 1 here. I don't know. This is going to be, I don't know if we haven't announced the maps. It is going to be Tomb of the Spider Queen for game number 1. This was map pick for Blasting Burros. That means Adults with Jobs are going to have first pick. And looks like we're good to go. So let's just get right into this.
Gentlemen, good luck. I'll catch you on the other side.
All right, thanks for coming.
Bobo.
So here we go. Game number 1 in our best of 2 matchup here between Adults with Jobs and Blasting Burros. Again, we are on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Now, keep in mind, we are on the most recent patch. Whitemane is available. She was not touched at all in the most recent balance patch, while a couple other supports were. For example, Stukov getting a buff, a Deckard, slight nerf. What do you think the bans are looking here for these teams, Mongoose?
Well, we live in a meta Gravesville right now where Asmodan sits towards the top of Hotslogs, and this is a battlefield where it is very easy to stack him in those 2 lanes that are so close to each other. So I've seen on Tomb of the Spider Queen in my casts NGS this season, Asmodan doesn't usually make it through this first round of bans. Also would expect you're seeing the Scuttlebutt Whitemane being very, very strong, so wouldn't be surprised at all to see a Whitemane ban either.
Yeah, I'm interested to see also how these teams prioritize Genji. Genji very good at diving on the backline. Murda, the first ban here, which would be kind of an enabler for a lot of that CC lockdown. And indeed, we do see that Whitemane is the ban on the side of Blasting Burros.
You know, I find in a lot of these NGS 2-game sets, the first draft is a lot of meta bans and a lot of bans. And then you see the kind of matchup evolve into game 2 where you start to see those targeted bans. That will not be the case. This matchup, as these teams know each other so well, you will see targeted bans right away. Very familiar teams with one another.
So you mentioned the Asmodan earlier. He is going to be banned here on the sides of Adults with Jobs. Very good on this map. Able to stack up pretty easily, especially on that 4-man rotation. But speaking of that 4-man rotation, you have to keep in mind what the bottom lane might hold in store, and you might see Urel being picked up or banned eventually as well. She did go through some recent balance changes. I feel like she's still in a very strong spot, though. So that could be the ban here. But again, I mentioned the Genji. Are they willing to get up? It looks like they are going to ban that Urel, though.
You know, trying to predict these bans, I think the meta is actually in a pretty good spot. There's probably a half a dozen to 8 heroes that you see regularly banned in that first, first 4 bans. And so somebody that could theoretically be banned up there is bound to slip through.
I mean, I'm so glad they introduced the 3rd ban. Could you imagine the meta?
Oh my goodness.
Johanna is the first hit pick here on the side of Adults with Jobs. Very good wave clear, very safe hero. Deckard getting picked up, as we mentioned before. He did have some recent balance changes, and Diablo getting paired up with that, which is very good on this map. He's going to be able to slam people up against those walls. Just a lot of CC already on the side of Blasting Burros. Obviously, Johanna has the Iron Skin, which is going to be helpful, but now Adults with Jobs might need to be a little bit worried about the CC on the opposite side.
Yeah, especially Lightning Breath is kind of the pick du jour right now. Not that Apocalypse is bad or anything. You're just seeing a lot of Lightning Breath. And the Alexstrasza, although solid, could be a little bit of also a denial to keep her away from Diablo because they pair so well together. I think we're going to see the Diablo and the Deckard just screams to me Phoenix for the side of Blasting Burros with the slows from the Deckard and the Lightning Breath from Diablo. So it would not surprise me at all to see Adults with Jobs, when their ban comes out, ban out that Phoenix.
Yeah, I agree with that. The salvo with Lightning Breath is pretty disgusting. Kalthos getting banned on the opposite side, trying to get rid of some more wave clear. Another option is try to ban out the solo laner up against Blaze, like for example Sonya or a Leoric. Blaze is a pretty safe hero in terms of laning, and obviously the Bunker is going to be able to provide his team some cover. The problem with Bunker into a Deckard, though, is he just throws out the root after you get out the Bunker, and then they're like, well, now I'm stuck here, aren't I?
Yeah, and as expected, the Phoenix ban coming out for Adult with Jobs, it's a really smart ban.
Yeah, for all the reasons we mentioned before, I agree with that. But now, Blasting Burros, they're likely to pick up their auto attacker of some kind, maybe like a Greymane. We mentioned the Genji before. He has made it through. Jaina's going to get picked up here, and Maiev, I said it before, that's just a lot of CC.
Yeah, you've got the Warden's Cage here with all of the Jaina AoE damage. Both Lightning Breath or Apocalypse actually could go really nicely into that Warden's Cage. I do think it's interesting, though, Gravesville, maybe you can touch on this. You look at this draft, both teams picked their supports and front lines before showing who they were going to have actually dishing out the punishment.
Well, as we say that, Cassia Tychus getting picked up. Tychus got our most recent buff, 2 damage on his auto attacks, which is significant. But as to your point, I do like the supports early. I feel like some supports are just straight up better than others right now, and Deckard, I feel, does sit up at the top and is worthy of that title. But I like the picks here on the side of Adults with Job. Cassia is going to be able to provide blinds. Tychus as well. I'm just afraid that they don't have enough CC for their backline. As I mentioned to Leoric before, he is the final pick for Blasting Burros.
That is a very big front line there for the side of Blasting Burros, the Diablo, the Leo, the Maya. Jaina running solo as the backline assassin there.
Yeah, that is true. But I don't know. Is it going to be an Entomb game? Is it going to be a March of the Black Kings potentially? Guess we'll find out. We'll get ready for game number 1. Let's go back to our lovely faces, why don't we? Hey, there we are. And Bobo's back too.
Hey,
he's back.
I'm just hanging out. What can I do? I do have to give a quick shout out here that Michaelin on Leoric is something to watch. That is his hero. I know that's his pick. Definitely something to keep an eye on. And Tiddly on Diablo is another clutch pickup here for Burros.
Yeah, I do feel like Leoric is strong. It's going to be really deadly against Johanna and the Blaze. I just think Blasted Burros, they've just got far and away the better CC team comp. Looks like we are loaded in. Let's go ahead and switch over as we get ready for game number 1. On the left-hand side in blue, it is Adults with Jobs. We have Retro Funk on the Cassia. Oops, I just bumped my screen. I just fizzled on the Blaze, Randy on Tychus, Myrmiduk on Johanna, and Alex Straza being played by Nats.
And for the red team, the side of Blasting Burros, we have Michaelin playing Leoric, Justice playing Jaina, Zhao on Deckard Kane, Pyromantic 1 on Maiev, and Tiddly He on Diablo.
So in terms of talents, Leoric is going for that Oswine renewal at level 1, Jaina going for Globes, and Devil's Due for Diablo, which I think is going to be pretty significant on this map. We'll have to see how these rotations work out as well. Maiev, obviously a really great enabler, and obviously Diablo himself as early pressure so far. I just fizz, went in, trying to get the stun up onto Diablo. Diablo eventually will fall. Deckard there with the roots, which means I just fizz under heavy pressure, but it looks like Adults with Jobs should back away with the first blood. No, maybe not so much for Cassia.
So counter kill picked up there on the Cassia. That is the difference between a minute 1 Diablo unstacked and a fully stacked Souls later. That Diablo is going to get way beefier once he's able to harvest the souls from the minions in these top few lanes here.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is going to be that Blaze up against the Leoric in the bottom. Keep an eye on that eventually. It's actually a pretty even matchup, although I do feel like Leoric does have the better hand. It all depends on how much wave clear each side does as well. But yeah, Leoric doing a pretty good job at the bottom, but keeping an eye on this 4-man rotation. There's a lot of kill pressure from both sides. Who do you think should be more afraid of the other team in terms of those rotations?
I think the side of Blasting Burros definitely has the more potential, the more threat for picking off the side of Adults with Jobs with the Maiev Umbral Bind and the Diablo CC, followed up by Scroll of Sealing and Herodric Cube, and the slows from Jaina. I mean, you can actually look at every hero on the side of Blasting Burros, and they all have some form of CC, whether it's hard CC or slows.
So camp at the bottom getting picked up here on the side of Blasting Burros. A nice early advantage towards them. We already have 16 gems dropped off on the side of Blasting Burros as well. And one thing we have to keep in mind on this map as well is point control. I mean, there's a lot of poke potential there between Tychus' grenade. Cassia can throw her spear out. There's a blind from Johanna. And on the opposite side, I feel like they just have to go in if they want to protect the turn-in.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of poke from the side of Blasting Burros. You have the Ice Lance from Jaina and the Project Cube from Deckard. And we do have a pretty big skirmish here. Both sides clashing into each other, but not much going on there.
Ring of the Leech at level 4 for Cassie as well is going to help her stay alive in these team fights. Michaela doing a great job at the bottom, by the way, up against that place. Pyromantic getting Tiddly, he's stuck up here. Excuse me, Retrofunk getting here. Tiddly, he trying to get the additional engage, but Retrofunk does get away. Pretty even in terms of XP right now as well. As Blasting Burros, they get closer and closer to the next turn in. They'll be there shortly if they try to dump them off. Joe, he's just putting in his one. Decker just wanted that one gem in the end, maybe it matters.
He's an old man. Those gems are pretty heavy.
Blind going out will interrupt Pyromantic, but Leoric sitting on a large portion at the bottom as well, and that's who does need to get turned in. In fact, Tychus down there to interrupt him as well. And yeah, we have a camp started on this side. Bruiser's going to be going over to Blasting Burros, but Randy turning in here at the bottom. They are just one away, and they do get it. Blue Web Weavers are descending for Delta with Jobs, and where do you think their focus should be on this first push?
Most teams tend to prioritize the top lane is the boss lane. That is the most common win condition on Tomb of the Spider Queen. That was really good awareness by the side of Adults with Jobs. They saw a couple bodies missing. They figured they were probably at the Bruiser camp, and that was a good opportunity for them to get the first turn-in phase.
Interestingly, and just taking a look at one of the other talents, In the Rhythm coming out from Tychus at level 4. So going to be able to eat through that health pool of Diablo, I feel, is pretty significant on their side as well. Level 7 around the corner. Diablo is kind of stuck here. They could actually get the flip over the wall under Retrofront. Cassie is stuck between a rock and a hard place. And that is a dead Cassie. A nice pick there on the side of Blasting Burros. And Myrmidon needs to make sure he can get away. The Iron Skin is used, but Alex Straza not so lucky. Another killer going over to them, and Adults with Jobs lose 2 in the top lane here. Was it worth it?
No. I mean, you can see in both, and especially the Alex Straza kill, all of the CC just on display there. The Deckard Cane followed up to the Umbral Bind from the Maiev. There's just so much disruption and ability to isolate out a hero from the side of Blasting Burros.
So level 7 is here for both of the teams, so Adults with Jobs will have defense, maybe a fight over these bottom siege camps. I just visited on the point. Mikhailin on Leoric has to get away, but Retrofrunk is there with the kill onto Leoric. Pyromantic all alone has to try to get away. Retrofrunk is low, does get pulled in by Maiev. However, the Deckard, or excuse me, the Alex Straza heals are there. Cassia eventually will fall. Pyromantic trying to jump away, but Maiev falls as well. Tiddly, he just, you know, there's just a bloodbath right now. Diablo goes down. That is a 2-for-1, or excuse me, 3-for-1 trade. I believe Leoric died and came back.
He did. That was a 3-for-1. In the meantime, though, the Red Web Weavers were getting value elsewhere on the map. Maybe the side of Blasting Burros opting to buy a little bit of time with a barroom brawl in the bot lane there.
Yeah, I mean, they are getting value elsewhere. However, there's pretty good wave clear on the side of Adults with Jobs. So Cassia already cleaning up the top lane. This well falls, which is pretty significant. That's a little less sustain that they'll have in this top lane. But as you mentioned earlier, normally top is the priority. This is the lane that the boss is in, so they want to soften that up for potentially a later push. And now both the teams just kind of reset. Neither team has enough for a turn-in as they approach level 10.
You know, we talked about in the pregame how close this match would be. 4 kills, 1 turn-in for each team, and the experience is pretty close to identical. Very small advantage for Blasting Burros. Yeah,
at this point, you have to get control back on the map right now in terms of the camps. As you can see, Tiddly Heat checking. They assumed their points were going to be at the Bruisers, and now indeed they are finally. But yeah, they just kind of try to push them out and get as much experience as you can. Yeah, I mean, right now it's just kind of a reset, like I mentioned before. They're both going to have 10, and they both have to protect the turn-in.
Yeah, and speaking of those gems, when I brought it up a second ago, they were on 39 and 41. So the kills, the structures, the level, the gems, all pretty much identical. And both sides have also just hit their heroic abilities, Gravesville.
Yeah, the Ball Lightning from Cassia, Blessed Shield, Bunker, Odin, Lifebinder from Alex Straza, which could have some anti-synergy with Bunker. We'll have to see if they can do that well. Leoric going for Entomb. Water Elemental, no Ring of Frost. Stay well and listen. The Cage, the Warden's Cage, and then the Lightning Breath from Diablo. How do you feel about the Water Elemental over the Ring of Frost here?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, the Ring of Frost would pair very nicely, of course, with the Entomb and the Warden's Cage and the Stay a While and Listen, but they have so much of that already as Cassia gets deleted. However, Ball Lightning doing work on the backside on her way out the door. The rest of Adults with Jobs is able to disengage, or I spoke too soon, because Tychus is in trouble and he falls. 2 more kills for the side of Blasting Burros. Johanna is able to pop her Iron Skin, throw out her Captain America shield, and walk to safety.
Yeah, really nice engage there, I would say, on the side of Blasting Burros. They got, they even baited out some cooldowns. I don't think that Blessed Shield had to be used there.
No, but better safe than sorry, and it's not a super long cooldown. It'll probably be up by the time she reveals.
So Pyromantic getting the Bruiser Camp as well. It'll be nicely timed with these Web Weavers. And this could be a really big push here. I mean, ideally, they try to get this fort at the top down, maybe even more. Maybe they try to go for middle first because they already have the camp there. Where do you think their priority should be?
You want to try to see if you can get Adults with Jobs to fight into that spell armor. That's such an advantage for you. You have the wave plus the Spider Queen's coming in as well. There goes the Lightning Breath. The Lifebinder keeping Blaze up very strong. This is a big team fight. Bunker goes down. Dragon Queen comes out. Everybody pressing their buttons, Gravesville. Entomb goes onto a full health Blaze. However, there is no Lifebinder this time. Leoric actually the shot first to fall. Ball Lightning was doing a whole lot of work on the backside of that, and it is actually Adults with Jobs that comes out of that 1 for nothing, but once again, while the Web Weavers are pushing in the other lanes.
Yeah, ooh, and Retrofunk potentially dying on the return if he does. I really like that turnaround, though, from Adults with Jobs. Basically, Blaze stayed alive forever, so really good job from Alex Raza using that Lifebinder. Didn't pop the bunker right away, which I kind of expected them to. Instead, they just like, well, what if we just walk into their team? And they did just that. Fort in the top and the bottom, or middle, excuse me, do fall eventually because of those Web Weavers push. We do have enough for a turn in for Adults with Job. Blasting Burrows not there quite yet. They do have 13 advantage for a few seconds yet, but now they kind of need to play defensively and try to push these lanes out with getting some camps potentially.
Worth noting, Adult with Jobs, they definitely have enough gems for turn-in on same talent tier and same level. I imagine they're going to start posturing in that direction. Johanna actually dropping off 35 uncontested right now.
Yeah, they're just kind of seemingly letting this go. Odin getting used to try to zone them off, not to mention that unstoppable frames he had for a moment there. Stately Hegan in the flip over and Justice. Blaze is sitting on 45 gems. They cannot afford to lose that. Lightning Breath is doing a great job. Lifebinder being used in the backside. Nats is caught into an Entomb. Alex Strauss going down. Stale Wine Listen hitting nobody, but it does force the bunker out. Just Fizz. Again, that is 45 gems sitting on Blaze. Tychus and Blaze both go down. 3 kills going over to Blasting Burrows. What a great team fight from them.
Yeah, more importantly than the kills, look at the gem count now for Adults with Jobs, because I see a big fat 1 there. That is a big loss for those guys. I think they had the right idea, you know, same talent tier, same level.
Right.
But they just weren't able to convert that team fight into the Web Weaver phase.
Well, we do have the 2-level lead so far from Blasting Burrows. I expect them to get level 16 off of this push at the bottom lane here. And yeah, I'm really liking what they're doing so far. They are very close on getting another turn in. We'll have to see if they don't blow that lead before they get 16. As we can see at the bottom, Jaina going down.
Yeah, she went down fast too. A great Blessed Shield coming out there. However, Warden's Cage catches 4. There's another huge Lightning Breath. It is able to finish off Alex Straza. Cassia goes down 2, as does Tychus. Johanna is sort of walking away, jumps into the bunker with Blaze, but these two are in trouble. They are able to get a counter kill on the Maya, but I think Johanna's probably going to go down, maybe?
Oh, it doesn't look like it, but Blaze getting body blocked there underneath the towers. I really don't think Maiev needed to die there. I feel like that might have been overstepping their bounds, potentially, as they don't secure the kill on either of the tanks here, unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of an overcommitment by Maiev. She probably could have just kind of walked away. But once again, Blasting Burros able to secure another turn-in and a 16 talent tier advantage as well.
All right, give me 1 minute. I see some notes here. We're going to try to do some production things real quick. So, hold on. What is happening in this fight here, Mongoose?
Well, what's happening is Diablo is the first to fall in a huge brawl in the middle, and that was without Maiev. She is just now showing up to this fight, so Adults with Jobs taking advantage of a MIA Maiev as she was just returning to the battlefield. They're going to try to leverage that into a free clear here in the mid. Blasting Burros is actually rotating up en masse into the top lane. However, a full team flank coming out here by Adults with Jobs. They've caught Diablo a little bit by himself, and this is a Diablo without any soul, so he is able to be bursted down. Commandeer Odin comes out. Stay a while and listen actually catches two more in the bunker, but it is Blasting Burros on the retreat. Adults with Jobs being aggressive. Zhao might be in trouble. Pyromantic could be in trouble as well.
And Bickern has the heal, though, so that was, what, just a solo Diablo dying, I believe?
That is correct, but I believe for the third time, while Blasting Burros is fighting and maybe losing men and catching a retreating Tychus, they do have web weavers pushing in the other lanes.
Leoric thought about entombing there. Honestly, I probably would have just popped that entomb right then and there, but they didn't know if they had the follow-up quite yet. But yeah, a lot of aggression here. 9 kills to 14 so far in favor of Blasting Burros. And looks like they are looking at potentially going boss after this. Their opponents do have enough for a turn-in, though.
Yeah, and this is the point where Adults with Jobs needs to decide. Actually, without Tychus on the board, there really is no decision. You take the free turn-in here because you're not going to contest a boss 5v4.
No, absolutely not. So, blue web weavers will spawn here in all these lanes. Boss is getting picked up. The web weaver itself does some pretty significant damage to the boss. So we're only 15 minutes of this game. This isn't going to do a whole lot other than de-push, I feel, because they're not going to be willing to push with it.
Now this the boss will basically be free cleared in the top. And that allows the members of Blasting Burros to go put pressure on the other web weavers and probably clear out mid lane and bot for free. So it's almost like the boss and the web weavers are kind of canceling each other out a little bit.
Yeah. So they cleaned out middle already. Looks like they're going to rotate bottom. Yeah, and as we mentioned, this boss basically is going to get cleared out by the web weaver. So they actually will need to rotate back to the top to make sure that lane kind of stays pushed out for them. Neither team is going to have any talent advantage until we get to level 20, but Blasting Burros, they do have a 1-level lead right now, and I feel like this is their game to lose at this point. They need to be the ones playing safe. They have all of their forts still up.
And having said that, this is the time for Adults with Jobs to make a move, though. 17 to 18, they commit, or maybe it's just Johanna being caught out a little bit. Somebody's throwing out the retreat pings, and I think that's Blasting Burros. They are just going to take the clear here and probably try to safely soak until 20. Adults with Jobs having none of that. Dragon Queen coming out, Odin coming out. Blasting Burros is on the retreat. Diablo is in a lot of trouble, and the first casualty of this team fight, Leoric, is pretty low too. Pyromantic able to teleport away. Adults with Jobs very aggressive here, trying to get something accomplished before level 20 talent tiers here for Blasting Burros.
I mean, that's basically what we said. That was the opportunity for Adults with Jobs. They capitalized it, getting the fort, getting the kill on Diablo. That's basically exactly what they need to do. I really felt like Blasting Burros, they just needed to back away. McKalen actually going in, going to reduce their damage for a bit. He did take that talent at level 13. But Blasting Burros, they will have 20 shortly. Diablo will be back in 20 seconds. He did not have enough souls, which means he's also going to be a little less beefy in the upcoming team fights. Adults with Jobs are 1 gem shy. They just picked it up. They'll have a turn-in, and this might be a pretty big one.
Yeah, that kill on the Diablo looming large. I think Blasting Burros was pinging the retreat, so I think they were planning to withdraw. But that's the first time we've really seen kind of the aggression switch flipped so hard by Adults with Jobs. I think they caught him off guard a little bit. and was able to secure on that kill with the Diablo there, just with elements of surprise a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. Blasting Burros, they are going to be getting level 20 off these next few waves. You can see Adults with Jobs heading to the top lane again. That is the priority. They want to soften it up for a potential boss. Boss has like a minute and a half left, I believe, when it respawns after these web weavers are done. And that's going to be really important because Adults with Jobs, they should get level 20 themselves, but they need to be careful. As of right now, Tiddly Heat going in. They want the kill, but Johanna has the Iron Skin. They're going to use Lightning Breath here as well. Water Elemental. They are committing a lot of resources for this, but I mean, I guess they forced their opponents to back off. It wasn't worth it.
You know, I think if you're Adults with Jobs, you kind of count that as a small victory. That was a lot of heroics used for really not a whole lot accomplished. And they're going to be hitting 20 here any moment. I'm curious, are we going to see that aggression one more time, knowing for at least the next 30 seconds or so, they're going to have even Talonteers and heroic advantage?
Well, there are your 20s. Indestructible from Johanna. We'll have to bear that in mind. Alexstrasza also going for the Lifebinder upgrade, which is pretty insane, especially with the Indestructible. Basically, you let Johanna die, and then you heal her back up to full, which is pretty fun to do. But Adults with Jobs looking for a potential flank or a trap onto someone. Alexstrasza showing solo on top. Hey, I'm definitely not bait. All right, Pyromantic is first to show up here. Doesn't look like got the engage they wanted. I Just Fizzed actually went in. Has to use the trait, is gonna get buried alive. The Entomb is there. Pyromantic actually gonna pull him out of the Entomb, which means he does have the ability to use his, oh my gosh, there is so much blood. The big red button going out as well. Diablo using that lightning breath. Nobody dead quite yet. Diablo is the first to fall. Myrmidon gets deckered as well. Randy in that Odin, very low, still alive for now. It's currently a 2 for 2. Big red button going down there. Do get some damage on a Pyromantic. Maiev is so low that is a 3 for 3 right now. And Mikhailin and Justice on the red side should get away. Maybe not, actually. Lyric just used his Wraith Block.
There was so much going on there. The abundance heals under that bloodbath. The big red button just blasting everybody. This game between these two teams is very reminiscent of their game 2 in the quarterfinals, where they just had these team fights where neither one of them could get a significant advantage over the other. They just kept slaughtering each other in the late game, and neither team had something to show for it at the end of these big team fights.
Yeah, as we can see, again, I've got the Talents up level 4, 92 stacks so far on In the Rhythm, so he's been getting a lot of value on his trait, which I feel like the later this game goes, obviously, the better it gets. And, you know, we mentioned the big red button. That's got some great value. Tychus doing some pretty good damage. I'll throw up those damage numbers, by the way. Cassie has 61k. Tychus right behind at 52. Diablo sitting at 50,000 damage. Level 20. Did not go for the upgrade on Lightning Breath. Instead, going for the Lord of Terror.
We didn't mention it, but it's worth mentioning. Nats on Alexstrasza in that team fight. Blaze was buried alive, and the Lifebinder came out almost instantaneously and pretty much eliminated any chance of them getting the actual kill on the Blaze there.
I mean, you know, there's a lot of things that happened there, as you mentioned. The Lifebinder went out. That was really great. But I feel like, I think the Maiev actually pulled him out of the Entomb, so that way he was no longer silenced, which kind of felt bad. But he didn't end up burning the bunker right away, and now we've got a standoff. Blasting Burros, they're still 10 gems away. Their opponents are further away than that still. Nope keeps down, which is the biggest thing. Neither the team has to worry about that map pressure. A team fight for either team basically is the game, though.
You know, I seem to recall you mentioning about 5 minutes ago how Blasting Burros hadn't lost any structures yet, but that changed very quickly because both teams now dead even in structures. And kind of building on that last team fight, these two compositions are interesting as they both actually have reasons to pile in on each other. The abundance, the big red button, the bunker for the side of Adults with Jobs, the Jaina AoE damage, the lightning breath, the Warden's Cage, the Stay a While and Listen, and the Attune for Blasting Burros. So neither one of these teams seems to really mind just kind of piling into the mess and wailing on each other.
Absolutely. So we are nearly 23 minutes on Tomb. We are in for a long one right now. But Camp already picked up on the side of Blasting Burros, so they're going to try to push with it. That additional spell armor is going to help them out on this push. And if they can get the keep wall down, That'll be a nice chunk of XP for them. But actually, they're going to commit Odin for the defense of this. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's drawing a line in the stand to be sure, and look at how instantly they cleared that out. It may not have been necessary, but it definitely sent a message that they're not going anywhere with that push there.
Well, Justice does get the turn, and they're going to commit now. Blessed Shield goes out. Tiddly He very low on Diablo. Bunker being used as well. Big red button does not secure the kill, but Diablo is low. They're actually just going to zone them out as Adults with Jobs actually has exactly enough for a turn-in.
Yeah, you're going to see these two teams fight as both of them actually have enough for a turn. And Tiddly He going engaging 3-man jet propulsion side of a Jobs. The red health bars look like they're getting the worst of this. Jaina is completely isolated on the backside and falls at basically the same time as teammate Diablo does. However, Cassia and Alexstrasza fall as well. And again, Gravesville, these two teams just slaughter each other.
There's just so much back and forth that happened there. Michaelan is still alive and wants to go for it. He does have the level 20 buried alive, as we mentioned before. He had a pretty good one as Blaze falls here, but they didn't have the follow-up. That is still... They're still duking it out. I can't believe this happened. Michaelan is still in. He wants to kill him. Tychus Blessed Shield getting used to make sure Tychus doesn't die. Oh my gosh, 4 members alive on the side of Blasting Burros, but can they capitalize off it? They have enough for a turn. Is that the play here, or do they go boss? I mean, there's so much they could do.
I mean, I think you take turn-in, it's free. Their main boss burn in Jaina is sitting on the bench right now, so turn-in is definitely the play.
So they turn in. They did start this siege camp at the bottom first, so they will have that available for them. I mean, I was thinking they could have softened up the keep maybe first to secure it, but Blaze will be back for the defense. Jaina is on her way, and this is going to be a big push. Odin will be available for the defense. Blessed Shield as well. I mean, all ults will be available, so it all comes down to how Adults with Jobs can deal with this push as the bottom lane is heavily pressured, as the Web Weavers here, as are the Siege Giants, and this keep is going down.
Yeah, this keep is gone. Now it's a matter of, it looks like Blasting Burros wants the double keep play. That's a smart move with all 5 members of Adults with Jobs up.
So keep does survive for now. Michaelan trying to get some harassed with this damage reduction. 4 is under pressure. The siege at the Web Weavers at the bottom are there. So now we have Blasting Burros head to the top, trying to get this keep pushed down again. This is the lane the boss spawns in. But 1 keep down is already pretty significant. 26 minutes here in on Tomb. Adults with Job, I think they're getting desperate now. I just Fizz going in with the stun. Michaelan very low in the middle of the team, but Buried Alive does land. They do get a stay while and listen. However, it gets interrupted. Lifebinder goes out as well. I just Fizz lands a huge stun on the multiple members. Diablo going down. The bunkers there to keep them alive. Jaina using the ice block, but she will not be long for this world. Justice falling, and that is 2 kills going over to Adults with Jobs.
Yeah, Adults with Jobs needs to be thinking boss, then game here. They are moving right in that direction. I imagine they will burn boss, and then they will have to send somebody back, I would guess Blaze, to take care of the catapults that are building up in that bottom lane there.
Yeah, the 2 catapults there. I mean, 27 minutes in the game. They do like, what, 3% damage? It's tick 4%, something like that. It's pretty insane. I like this play from Blasting Burros. They realize that the boss is dead. This will help them get a camp pressure middle that will have to be answered if, you know, Adults with Jobs loses some members on the attack. But yeah, I mentioned before that Adults with Jobs, that was the defense. Now, here is the big defense coming out for Blasting Burros as the blue Web Weavers are coming in with this boss.
Now, I had this exact situation last night, almost at the same point in the game. The Web Weavers lose to the catapults in that bottom lane. Those catas will actually eat through the Web Weavers, so worth keeping an eye on that bottom lane. However, the boss and Web Weavers just decimated the top keep. Zhao taking a lot of damage. Johanna has to pop the Iron Skin. Blasting Burros defending strong. Deckard Cain is the first to go out, though. Blasting Burros is in trouble, Gravesville.
I just Fizz with some huge plays there. Multiple member stuns. Alexstrasza with a great Lifebinder as well. But it looks like Adults with Jobs are going to go ahead and take game number 1 in our series.
Holy cow, Gravesville.
I mean, that's basically what I say to that game. Holy cow. A lot of back and forth there. Really great job from both of these teams. And let's take a look at these final statistics here. My number's not showing, but I believe that was 28 minutes on Tomb.
Yeah, it was about 28 minutes, a combined 42 kills between these guys. Man, what a game. Our master producer, Fallendrith, telling us 28 minutes and 5 seconds.
My goodness.
If we end up casting these two again, Gravesville, we're going to have to put in for the good professor to get some overtime.
That's right. We'll take a look at these final talents as well. You can screen cap that as well. And speaking of the professor, let's have a little chat with him, shall we? Boba, what do you think of that last game?
Oh, that was hot. 42 kills, 28 minutes. That seems like a really good time. I do think a couple of keys and just some things that I want to point out. Randy getting stacked on that Tychus was absolutely huge. It really seemed like part of the way that Adults with Jobs was able to turn this around was that they just started picking on Diablo a little bit more. Once you saw they got to 16, right? They got the first reset on Souls. They picked up another one almost immediately afterwards, pre-20. Just a great game. But again, the late game Tychus, which we haven't seen in a long time, looked to be huge. And that was just an interesting wrinkle in the draft, because I don't know about you guys. I have seen a fair amount of Cassia thus far this season. And I know that Cassie has a really high win rate on the ladder. She's a great hero. I actually love playing her. But the games in which Cassia has been sort of bodied against Jaina for me and Kael'thas specifically. And that seemed like a risk that didn't pay off early. And then, again, just full credit to Randy. And I mean, the Alex Straza play was also fantastic in that game, no?
Yeah, I agree with that. I believe the Lifebinder just had so much value in that game. Just really good shot calling as well, I would say, especially when it came down to when to use Lifebinder, when to use Bunker, because I feel like the biggest part in the last half of that game as well was Adults with Jobs. They had a lot of outs in a team fight, right? Like, it was very difficult to kill them if they committed all their resources to keeping one member alive.
Yes, absolutely. But again, like when your backline feels safe, and I don't know how often Alex Straza was really pressured. In fact, 2 or 3 times, I think she actually went into Dragon Queen and just sort of walked into the cage because there just didn't seem to be very much fear. You know, once the opening salvo came through from blasting Burros, as long as Adults with Jobs were able to, you know, sort of power through, they seemed like they were fine.
Yeah, I agree with that. Special shout out, by the way, to everyone in chat. Thank you, everyone, for showing up tonight. A lot of talk going on. Really should have gone for core instead of double keep. I kind of agree with that one. I really feel like blasting Burros, they pressured bottom, they got that keep, then they went middle, and then they lost out on like that engagement, so they swapped around top. I feel like blasting Burros at the end there could have made some different decisions to get themselves the win. How do you feel about their decisions in the end of the game?
I mean, Mongoose, you're captain.
Mongoose, go ahead.
I mean, what are you doing in that set? I'm really curious. What is Regen Blue going to go with there?
I really think you can make the argument either way, but what I would guess is going through blasting Burros' heads in this entire game. You have these huge 5-on-5 team fights, and neither side could really crush the other up to that point in the game. So they're looking, okay, bottom keep is down. It's 5-on-5 again. We haven't won a 5-on-5 decisively yet to this point. Can we do it under core when we couldn't do it in the middle of the map? So I think they just decided that, you know what, discretion is the better part of valor. If we can get 2 keeps here, that's really going to put a lot of pressure on Adults with Jobs.
I got to ask, guys, MVPs in game number 1 for you.
Man, that's tough for me. I mean, I kind of mentioned at the end there, I really liked the plays by I Just Fizzed on Blaze, but it was also combined with the Alex Straza play. I feel like being able to keep the front line alive was a big part of a lot of those final pushes by Adults with Jobs, but when they landed like multiple member stuns on the jet propulsion from Blaze, that was a really good engage from them. You know, you follow that up with a big red button and it's lights out, and then I mentioned bunkers. I feel like Blaze was a standout for me. How do you feel, Mongoose?
I think MVP Lifebinder Falendrith, our master producer again, just posted in the chat here. Team fight healing that came. Alex Straza 25k, Deckard Kane 10k. So much value out of the Lifebinder and the abundance. It was just kind of too much to overcome for the side of Blasting Burros. And building on what Bobo said, we saw in those late game team fights where Adults with Jobs was slowly taking that game back. Diablo went down so fast and all of that. And that's, I think, largely because they were fighting inside Big Red Button. They're fighting under the abundance.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. So that was game number 1, going over to Adults with Jobs. Game number 2 will be on Volskaya Foundry. That was map pick for Adults with Jobs, being first ban, first pick, going over to Blasting Burros. Any adjustments you would expect from these teams in terms of drafting? Bobo, what do you think?
I would keep an eye on the secondary ban phase, and let's just see if maybe these teams want to maybe target something that we saw in the first game. A couple keys here. Keep an eye on Michael Lynn on that Leoric. Like, that's his hero. I remember watching him play this with just outstanding results last season. So Leo maybe is considered there for Adults with Jobs, maybe again in that second ban. Maybe we see Alex taken off the board immediately. But I do know that both sides will play that hero. So I do think that there's a really good chance if Alex Straza is not banned out, that we see her either first pick, overall here. I think what first pick is going to go to Blasting Burros, or in the first rotation, certainly for Adults with Jobs.
All
right. Mongoose, any final thoughts before we get started?
Yeah, Bobo's 100% right. I would be shocked if Alex Straza made it into this game. If she was that impactful on Tomb of the Spider Queen, she's even stronger on Volskaya Foundry. She is going to be banned in the first 4 bans. I would be shocked if anything else happened.
All right, I agree. Yeah.
I was going to say Tanks played out exactly the way I think we kind of assumed. We had Johanna and Diablo, which are, again, are both strong picks for both of these sides. I don't see any adjustment there either. I think we're ready for draft. Gravesville, take us away, brother.
All right, let's do this. Let's get ready for game number 2 between these teams, Adults with Jobs versus Blasting Burros on Volskaya Foundry. And again, Blasting Burros, they need to make that adjustment, and let's head in to this draft. So again, Adults with Jobs on the left-hand side, Blasting Burros on the right. This was map pick for Adults with Jobs. And we mentioned the Alex Straza before. I would kind of expect that as a ban at some point. Azmodan would be available, and he is good on this map as well, but I don't... do you let Azmodan through is the question.
Does Azmodan ever make it through? How many Azmodan... listen, we got plenty of cast between the 3 of us. How many Azmodan games have you had here in the first couple rounds?
If I were to guess off the top of my head, I would say maybe 2. He's mostly getting banned out.
He had a 100% participation rate for me. It bans, that is.
Yeah, bans. Again, it still amazes me. It's 2018, and Asmo was the first hero to just be off the board.
Build. Who would have thought that a year ago?
Absolutely crazy. Deckard, and that will certainly lend itself to the Alex priority.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like Deckard was a really good pick from Blasting Burros last game. Obviously didn't work out for them, and we mentioned Azmodan is the ban there. So Mongoose, what do you think? Are we looking at an Alex Straza ban, or does Blasting Burros think they could potentially get it first pick? Like, what are their priorities?
No, Blasting Burros isn't going to ban Alex. They're going to force the side of Adults with Jobs to ban it out. Having said that, I don't know who they will. Maybe the Blaze, who was so impactful last game. Bunker's really solid here as well. So maybe you see the Blaze would be my guess for the ban. And it's Johanna.
Okay. I mean, she is pretty decent. Obviously, we saw the engagement she had last game with those Blessed Shields. She has great wave clear on the Condemns. Blinds are a thing, especially with all the potential auto attackers. Ban now for Adults with Jobs. I'm likely to see an Alex Straza.
I would be shocked to see anything else. Falendrith, once again, with some key stats. Johanna, 100% kill participation last game. And apparently, Alex Straza made it through, and it is because Whitemane is up. So Whitemane picked out. That does leave Alex Straza for Adults with Jobs, as Muradin is burned out. Adults with Jobs apparently really does not want to see Muradin in the hands of Blasting Burros.
Wait, there are a lot of meta heroes up. Raynor, Genji, Diablo, Phoenix, Urel. It's pretty wild to have a first ban phase and not have a single of those sort of range DPS heroes taken it. We do see Azmodan, I guess. It depends on where you put him in the sort of specialist mage category, but there's a lot of heroes up and available right now.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued about the Whitemane. Obviously, we kind of mentioned her when we first started the cast here, but seeing her pick this early over that Alexstrasza is interesting in and of itself, as Garrosh and Blaze getting picked up on this side as well. That's a lot of CC between the two of them. Obviously, we don't know the damage, but adults with jobs, they know there's some kind of damage behind it. Do you ban the Jaina from last game is the question.
Maybe. I mean, both Kael'thas and Jaina are up, and they kind of provide that, similar AoE burst damage. I thought it was interesting. A second time, Gravesville, tanks and supports, top of the draft. Neither team wants to show where their damage is going to come from, and I really like that hammer ban. With a Whitemane hiding behind a Garrosh and a Blaze, it would have been very difficult to get at that hammer.
Yeah, I agree with that, as Alexstrasza finally does get banned here. We kind of expected that eventually, but with Deckard and Alexstrasza gone, who is your priority healer at this point?
Stukov's fallen off a little bit. He's kind of healer-wise, but the lurking arm is so powerful if you can isolate out somebody in the side of that silence. So Stukov would not surprise me, and instead we have double mage Leeming and Kael'thas. It would have taken me a lot of guesses before I got to Leeming and Kael'thas there.
I left it up with both Ganjo and James Rayner on the board.
So do we see an Ana here with Nano Boost? Do we see a Malfurion with the mana?
That's spicy.
Maybe they just got to go spicy to end things here. Last pick for blasting Burros. They got the Phoenix and the Gul'dan. It's a lot of damage and Horrify. Good ult, by the way.
It turns out, yeah.
Last pick, though, for adults with jobs. They need to support. I mean, it could be the Ana. I would love to see Ana here. It's not likely to be a Bloodlust Rhaegar, though.
There's very, very limited amount of supports right now. They're going to have Cleanse into a Garrosh. You called it. Absolutely called it. What a genius.
So Ana is the last pick up here. Double mage on the side of adults with jobs. Will Diablo and Yrel be enough of a front line to protect them? We'll have to see here. I mean, and Blaze exists. Bunkers there. It's just a really weird draft from the sides of adults with jobs. They are up one game, and maybe they felt like, now's the time to try something, right?
Maybe. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and longer than 20 minutes, and there's going to be a lot of kills at the end of this game. Longer
than 20 minutes, a lot of kills on Volskaya. I mean, Volskaya is a little bit snowbally. Sometimes it's okay to give it up an objective, like on Cursed Hollow, you don't need to get every tribute. I feel like on Volskaya, if you give up that robot, bad things are coming your way.
Well, to you, sir, I bring you back to Game 2 of the quarterfinals. It was here on Volskaya Foundry, 29 minutes long. Do we have another bloodbath here? Is it going to be a little bit different with kind of the creative draft coming out for adults with jobs?
Well, let's find out. On the left-hand side in blue, it is adults with jobs. Retrofunk playing Li Ming, I Just Fizz on Diablo, Randy on Kael'thas, Myrmidon on the Yrel, and Nats playing Ana.
And for the side of Blasting Burros, Team Captain Michaelin on Blaze, Justice on Gul'dan, Pyromantic on Phoenix, Tiddly He, one of my very favorite names in NGS, on Garrosh, and Zhao on Whitemane.
So Ana going for that piercing dart at level 1. Once you get that stacked up, it increases the range on your dart, and then finally completes the range on the healing as well. If you were looking at the Here's the Storm main webpage, there was an article, I believe it was June, regarding Ana and what kind of builds you can go. So you might want to check that one out. But in terms of laning, it will be Yrel at the bottom. Blaze likely to make the rotations there as well. A lot of wave clear from both the sides, although obviously Kael'thas can hold his own. Who do you think has the better rotations here?
I don't think either side really has a significant advantage. Kael'thas can basically insta-gib a lane. Gul'dan can pretty much do the same thing. Randy might be in trouble, but a great peel by Diablo.
No Devils do this time around for Diablo, by the way. He did go for that Soul Shield, which gives him additional spell armor, which is going to be significant against that Gul'dan. Phoenix as well, just on his Q. Yeah, early on, it's going to be a lot of back and forth, I feel. First objective of the game always spawning here in the middle. We'll have to see how these teams decide to get the camps. Is about the time that you start heading for those fortification camps. In fact, Yrel at the bottom might be under pressure, as there might be a flank. No, they're actually going to go steal the camp right behind them instead.
And it's just Phoenix and Gul'dan. If Adults with Jobs gets down here, those two could be in trouble. Pyromantic takes a full Leeming combo and runs for his life. So an aggressive rotation there by Blasting Burros. However, they quickly skedaddled out of there once Adults with Jobs showed up.
I mean, I saw the rotation to bottom. I fully expected them to just go on the Yrel and not go for the camp. That was a risky move. Obviously didn't end up paying out for them, but they have left their camp uncontested for the time being. Adults with Jobs first to level 4. Objective spawning in about 15 seconds here.
On Volskaya Foundry, you'll see usually the team that plays with the toys the best is going to have an advantage. Whichever one brings in turrets, brings in the most bionic emitters, and you can kind of see that the way both of these squads are rotating toward the turrets earliest. Justice takes a little bit of a beating there in the mid lane. And I imagine we're going to see both squads rotate toward those top bruiser camps here about now as well.
Well, control point unlocking in 15 seconds. Support camp is there as well, though you don't normally see it this early. And indeed, they are heading to the camps on opposite sides. Blaze and Yrel doing Blaze and Yrel things at the bottom. And again, objective always in the middle for the first to spawn. So I mentioned it earlier in the draft. Normally, you don't want to give up an objective on this map. One thing you can do, though, is you can kind of stall it out. Like, let your opponents get to, say, like 50, 60%, and then just completely wipe them and take it over. But Blasting Burros, they have point for the time being, and they are slowly ticking both camps, clashing against each other at the top.
You know, I think so much of this game is going to come down to the front line of both of these teams. Both have huge front lines of Diablo, Yrel, and a Garrosh Blaze, and whichever set of those is able to isolate out the backline for damage better might be at an advantage.
Absolutely. He took a lot of damage there from the Diablo. He got slammed up against the wall, but Whitemane was there for the heals. Blaze going to have to get the trait. Sleep Dart went out. He very low, as is Murmurduck. However, Yrel should be able to have one more heal. Indeed, they do, but Garrosh dies, as does the Yrel. Diablo going down. That is 2 kills to 1 in favor of Blasting Burros, and they grab this objective.
Garrosh on the kind of isolated on an island. He survived for a really long time, and even though he did eventually fall, he took Li Ming's attention away from the rest of that battle while she went in and secured the kill. I think that was a big part of why that turned into that 2-for-1.
Absolutely. We didn't see the commitment, by the way, from that turret on the point itself, and you can finally see it being used as a defense in the top lane. It goes down eventually. The Trait Glove's already down to 40%, 20 seconds left on that. They might want to protect the health. Unstoppable being used on Tiddly. He wanted that Indomitable to try to get a pick onto someone. Didn't end up happening. But this fort at the top, oh, hold on, they got the cleanse going out on the Justice. They were afraid to engage onto Gul'dan as well. Gul'dan also actually sitting on his level 7. I'm trying to think of the options available for him and what he might be considering. Is that Hellstone on that talent here? They're going to go for Hunger for Power. I think that's the standard one.
Yeah, especially once he finishes the the Echo of Corruption at 1, that E ability is just going to be big time chunk. And if he lands a big one, he can actually get that onto the Li Ming, onto the Kael'thas from a relatively safe distance.
Well, this is an aggressive move on the side of Blasting Burros. Fizz is already very low, as is Randy in the backline. Diablo will die. He did not have enough souls to survive. Tiddly just blocking for now. Randy survives, and Blasting Burros go ahead and take their opponent's cap. And you mentioned you know, he who has the most toys tends to survive on this map.
Yeah, well, and going back to those toys as well, I was a little surprised to see Adults with Jobs use that turret defensively in the top. I didn't feel like it really accomplished a whole lot, and the Sippy fountain went down anyway. I think it would have been better served to kind of hold on to that for this next objective.
Yeah, I agree with that. They didn't use it, and now they are in a situation where they don't have any available to them, so their opponents grab one of their own. Blasting Burros, they are one level lead now, marching their way towards level 10. Gonna go ahead and try to start the support camp. This is a little bit of a risky call. Urel is actually shown at the bottom, so maybe not as risky as maybe I initially thought, but she is on the way.
Yeah, if Adults with Jobs is going to make a move, it has to be right now. Because level 10s are basically here for Blasting Burros, and I think that's probably part of their decision-making. Those heroics are just a little too close to be stepping into them now.
Yeah, I think if they wanted to force, they had to force it in that small window. Level 10 is here, though. We got the Bunker, Purification Salvo, Warlord's Challenge. The ult from Whitemane is the Scarlet Aegis, and that Horrify that we mentioned before coming out from Dan. So aggressive moves from Blasting Burros with that 10 advantage. I just Fizz looking for Pyromantic, though. Diddley, he's going to flip him over. Camp does go over. Randy's got it, but the Warlord's Challenge is there. Michaelan going in a blaze. That will be Li Ming falling. Myrmidon now caught between a rock and a hard place, but just slams them away for now. That is one kill going over to Blasting Burros, and they are going to back away as Adults with Jobs closing in on level 10 themselves.
I'm pretty surprised Adults with Jobs was there, considering they didn't have their heroics yet. So not really surprising when a level 10 team goes into a level 9 team and the team with the heroics picks up the win.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it was maybe, I don't know if it was split decision making on who the targets were. Obviously, it was aggressive play call. Phoenix kind of in the middle there between. I believe that was the biggest thing when Diablo's just like, hey, let's kill the Phoenix, and then Blasting Burros just kind of panicked and said, we can't lose Phoenix, not now. But control point unlocking up here in the top lane. Adults with Jobs is there first, but Tiddly, he's going to try to contest it. As we see the advantage in terms of items is still on the side of Blasting Burros. They have 3 turrets available to them.
And we do have level 10s out from Adults with Jobs. It's a Wave of Force, Ardent Defender, Nano Boost, and Phoenix gets isolated out and just obliterated. That's a big-time play for Adults with Jobs. Into the fray, hucking Michaelan to safely, and then tossing in Urel, who simply pops Ardent Defender and walks the other direction.
I didn't see what happened to Phoenix's item he had there. He was sitting on a turret. I didn't see it getting used, unless it was used and just immediately deleted. But I really expected Blasting Burros to commit their items to that fight. Regardless, Phoenix, he's on his way back. Point still is at 70%. Tiddly, he is here, and they have time yet, I suppose, but they need to start making their moves now, I feel.
Yeah, they're going to come in now. They also have heroic advantage because all of Blasting Burros' heroic are available, while basically none on the side of Adults with Jobs.
Oh, and a great job there. I just Fizz pushing Tiddly off the point, which means this does go over to Adults with Jobs. However, the Purification Salvo will secure the kill onto Li Ming, and Urel gets inside of that Triglav. On a not-so-lucky, Pyromantic is low, trying to fight with a conveyor belt. Michaelan goes in, gets the kill onto Kel'Thas. Just Fizz, no, he wants the kill onto Pyromantic, but no! They have the heals from Whitemane there. Now Diablo goes into the Triglav, actually gets away. They didn't have the CC there, and now Indomitable has to be used. My goodness, what a crazy back and forth in this team fight.
I'm going to have to take your word for it because my client just crashed, so I'm going to be joining you here in about 10 seconds.
All right, well, level 13 is picked up here now on the side of Blasting Burros. The Triglav is marching its way to the bottom lane, which is interesting. That is where the next objective spawns. So I think what they're trying to do is soften up this bottom lane for the third objective. However, they're going to lose a lot of hit points. They're going to take out the well, which is smart. I feel, actually, they didn't even get the well. There it goes. But they need to get on out of here. Sleep Dart hits. Connect with the... why can't I think of the cue from Kel'Thas? Anyway, hold on. Michaelan gets rooted. Survives for now. Flame Strike, by the way. And it looks like they should be able to get away from this. Are we back, Mr. Mongoose?
Very close. Thank goodness for Blizzard's improvement to the reconnect system. It's almost there.
All right. Well, I mentioned before, level 13 is here. for Blasting Burros. They're going to get aggressive on their opponent's side of the camp, taking away this fortification camp. Another turret going over them. I mean, they have got 3 turrets again. I don't know how they're not committing more of these. Like, we mentioned before how having all these items is such a huge advantage, and they're just like, yeah, we don't need it. You know, we can do all these other things, like use a bunker or horrify. We don't need turrets, as Pyromantic getting a 4th one for his team. Meanwhile, camp's getting taken for both teams as well. Support camp going over to the side of Blasting Burros, and Delta Jobs getting their siege camp in the top left. I would expect Blasting Burros to go get their own. They're actually pinging assistance. They need someone to get the turret because they don't have. Okay, Michaelian finally pick it up. They're like, guys, we got too many items. Who's gonna carry it?
And I am back.
Good news. So we have still about a 1.5 level lead for Blasting Burros, so good job from them so far. Again, next objective will be in the bottom lane, but both teams sitting happily in the top, and again, just every person on the side of Blasting Burros, they have an item. I don't think they want to be risking it right now. They don't have talent advantage.
Yeah, if you're the side of adults with jobs, you really have to watch for when they commit those. If they drop down a couple of turrets and a bionic emitter in the middle of a team fight, you almost have to back up and wait them out. That's a lot to fight into.
Yeah, I agree. So Blasting Burros looking to get themselves level 16 before the next objective, which means that'll have a nice talent advantage that I don't think Adults with Jobs wants to really fight into. So seeing that, they're actually going to pressure bottom lane. I actually really like this play coming out from Adults with Jobs. This will get them caught back with the next beat. Not something their opponent's going to answer. In fact, Justice under heavy pressure. Sleep Dart lands, and the Apocalypse is there as well. Justice gets into the bunker. Does he survive? The biotic emitter is going to be used, and they do survive. And now Nat's on a very low. Michaelian looking for something. They're going to get the slow onto them. Nat survives. Sleep Dart going over. The Purification Symbol will be enough to secure that kill. That is a double kill going over to Blasting Burros. In fact, yeah, they were looking at Urel, but she gets away.
Yeah, Adults with Jobs there went in for the kills, but they kind of forgot about the fort, and when the minions went down, tanking directly underneath that fortification.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a misplay. I felt like they're like, whoa, look at the Gul'dan, he's almost dead, right? But clutch plays from Blaze there, getting the bunker out in time. Obviously, the biotic emitter was used in that team fight as well. And the third objective here at the bottom will start being channeled by Blasting Burros. They have 16, and again, this is a smart play from Adult Job. They know they can't get the objective. Instead, they're going to focus on getting experience elsewhere.
And this is basically going to be a free Triglav protector for the side of Blasting Burros, and they're going to have their very large collection of items to aid them when they grab the Rock'em Sock'em Robart and start pushing down the bottom lane, I would assume, but it really could be mid lane as well.
Yeah, so this objective is in the bottom lane. The next objective would be, again, in the rotation back to middle. Middle is very low. They could go for double forts, you know, get bottom and then middle and then wherever they want to go after them, but instead, I do like that play. Going for bottom fort, but look at this play on the side of Adults with Jobs. That is keep wall getting pressure, and their opponents are not responding, it seems.
That's really smart by Adults with Jobs, because this should secure them enough experience for 16 or very, very close to it anyway. Oh my god, that turret's still alive. It's tilting.
So we see the heroes coming on the side of Adults with Jobs. I really expected Blasting Burros to send one person as a token defense, but instead they're like, well, let's just push. We should get more. Phoenix getting used to try to zone them off. Keep is very low, but still alive for now. They're going to wait for the minion wave to get their double root coming out there. Actually, Whitemane, great job on that. Waiting for the minion wave, and this keep will fall eventually. The question is, where do you go from here?
A very similar situation to what we had in last game, right? They finished off the bottom keep. They had the objective still. And let's see what Blasting Burros does with this time. Once again, they're going to rotate away from the core. Not quite as late into the game as Tomb of the Spider Queen was, but this mid fort should be pretty free here.
Yeah, this is free. Their Triglav is still very healthy. 20 seconds. In fact, I almost feel like Blasting Burros, they could try to force engagement onto someone if they land a root with the Triglav. I feel like adults with jobs, they need to be playing safe for now, although they might want to try to force something before their opponents get 20.
You know, and that's what Blasting Burros is using this Triglav for. They're just collecting as much experience as they can and making sure they have a commanding lead in the race to level 20. And now goes Adults with Jobs, aggressive right before 20 one more time.
Well, here we go. Here is the engagement. Randy very low on the backside. Kel'Thas will fall. Yrel gonna stay alive for now. I Just Fizzed is not gonna survive this. Use the Apocalypse, you know, might as well right before you die. Bunker was used. McKillen is low, gets away for now. And it looks like Blasting Burros is on their way to winning this team fight. And do they just go core bottom lane is the question.
I think they're looking that way for sure. They do have one turret, all 5 members up, only leaving for a keep play again. I mean, 10 seconds and 20 seconds before 2 more members are up, so it would have taken them a little while to get down there. Maybe if they were already in the bottom lane, they make a play for the game, but they were pretty far away to rotate all that way.
They still have 1 turret, by the way, on the side of Blasting Burros. They didn't even bother to commit to that one in that last team fight either. But they do have 20, nearly a 3-level lead on their side. We have the upgraded bunker, interestingly, fortified bunker coming up from Blaze, and the increased duration, I believe, is that on Haunt? Yeah, that's the armor. That's deadly. So now, what do we do for Adults with Jobs? They need to get caught back up in XP. They need to try to get 20, or do they just try to force an engagement because they know they're so far behind?
I mean, they're really in a rough spot. The Triglav Protector, if it's secured by the side of Blasting Burros, by the time the next objective pops, it's going to be about 20 minutes or so into the game. And with an open lane, a little toss on the support bot by Tiddly there. If they were to get a minute 20 Protector with an open lane, that's almost assuredly game time, but instead they invade and they grab a turret of their own. Really cagey play there by Adults with Jobs.
Yeah, they need to get out of here too. In fact, Ana rotating not the way that you want to be. Tiddly, he knows it too. He's like, someone throw me! Someone throw me! Well, Indomitable getting used. Myrmidon in the backside. She should be able to stay alive. A double throw coming in. That upgrade from Garrosh will be securing the kill onto Kel'Thas and Diablo. Michaela getting thrown as well. Ana under heavy pressure. And it looks like this might be the beginning of the end for Adults with Jobs.
Yeah, this time they're close enough to the core. No rotation necessary. 3-4-0. Bunker goes down to tank the core. All the members of Blasting Burros putting their damage into the core and that 1 blue minion.
Finally committing, by the way, to that turret, which I appreciate as well. But this will be Blasting Burros taking game number 2, splitting the series 1-1 as they finish the game here on Volskaya Foundry.
I'm not at all surprised. What we saw about, the way these teams compared to each other, a split is, I think, the result you would expect. Second game, a little more one-sided than the first one. But teams picking up a split here. Blasting Burros coming back in game 2.
Absolutely. So, Li Ming, top of the damage charts on the side of Adults with Jobs. Kel'Thas wasn't able to get as much value, I feel, because he was a lot of the target, and I liked what they did on the side of Blasting Burros, also focusing that Diablo. Whenever he came back and he didn't have souls, that was pretty impactful. 2 kills to 15 at the end of the game here, nearly 20 minutes on Volskaya. This game didn't go to 30 like the last one.
No, it did not, and I think the double mage, the Kel'Thas and the Li Ming, they just could not get their damage past Blaze and past Garrosh. So trying to get past that really big front line of Blasting Burros was a problem, and Diablo, under all of that pressure that you were just talking about, wasn't able to set up those kills for his backline.
Yeah, I agree with that. So we're going to see if we can get an interview on the side of Blasting Burros. Maybe Mr. McKalen will be able to hop in here eventually. But Bobo,
working on it right now.
You're still here. What did you think of that last game?
I think a lot of that game turned on that fantastic counter engage in the bot lane. So I Just Fizz goes in on the Diablo. They have Gul'dan isolated. Not only do they have him isolated, they actually get him in the APOC. And that fight turns on Whitemane with the Scarlet Aegis and the heal from Whitemane coming out onto Gul'dan, Justice has enough time to get into the bunker. And I think that might have been the last opportunity that Adults with Jobs had to get a team fight on an even talent tier. And it just seemed like from that point, it was all blasting Burros. I think they knew, all right, we could just play for the 20 and we'll be safe. But a shout out to Joe there. That was a fantastic set of Whitemane plays just to keep the Gul'dan alive when he had no business being there, quite frankly.
I agree with that. And it looks like we do have a member on the side of Blasting Burros. Is that correct? Are we here?
Hey, how's it going?
Mike,
Hey.
what's happening?
Yeah, how's it going? Well, congratulations on that game number 2. How are you feeling after that last game?
We're feeling pretty good after that last game. I felt like, we were in a pretty winning position that first game, then we kind of just threw it away, which feels bad, but I feel like we really cleaned it up second game, and yeah, I'm happy with the 1-1 overall.
Well, let's actually go back to game number 1, shall we? I'd like to talk about that Tomb game. It lasted pretty long. You guys went for the double keep play in the bottom. Let's talk about those last shot calls. What was going on in your minds when you guys were at their bottom keep and you got it, didn't get the middle? What was your decision making then and there?
Yeah, we kind of just wanted to maximize our map lead there, like basically have pressure in both the bottom lanes so that if they did happen to go for boss later in the game, we could pressure out that bot lane.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we ended up going a little bit in that top lane. Like, they had a really nice engage on us, and I think we were a little overextended. So they got some picks, and then they went for boss. And then, so that first mistake was, I think, just overstaying in that top lane and maybe not playing that team fight super optimally. And then I think our second mistake was kind of just letting them have boss and not doing anything about it. I think we could have maybe pressured bot lane, forced them back. I think our reasoning was we could maybe fight past boss and take them down before they ended the game, but I think it was perhaps a better gamble to just try and race.
Okay. Bobo, what are your thoughts on this game? Do you have any questions?
It seems like they went with an unconventional set of DPS heroes, and although it seemed to not phase you guys early in the game, your thoughts on Tychus Cassia late, especially the Tychus, which I don't think we've seen since, early season 4?
Yeah. Made my tank player really sad. Yeah, that's most of the main gist of it. I think, I think the team fights we ended up losing, we were perhaps a little, took a little too much free damage from their assassins. I think there were double engages where we went on tanks, and it looks really good because, we do have a lot of damage on those tanks. We do have, the Leo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, we felt like we definitely could kill tanks there, and there were a couple of fights where we did, but our tank ended up dying just slightly faster because Tychus does that.
He did get buffed.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the fights we did win, we correctly engaged onto their backline more, maybe took them off guard, didn't take too much poke damage.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I think if we just took a few more fights like that, we would have won that game.
Okay, fair enough. Mongoose, questions from you.
What was your reaction when you saw the double too? Because all three of us popped up in draft, kind of went, "Whoa!" Didn't see that coming.
That was interesting. Yeah. To be honest, not entirely sure what the draft plan was with that. I'm sure. Yeah. I don't know. Not entirely sure, but yes.
I mean,
that did happen.
How did you try to adjust to that though? So you knew they were in a cast. They already drafted the double mage. Were you expecting Anna to follow up with that, or how did you try to adjust to that, knowing that they had a lot of damage, but they were kind of squishy? Like, did you know that, hey, these are the targets we have to go for? Because I feel like you guys did a pretty good job, like diving the Kel'Thas. You also were able to just blow up their Diablo. Like, who was your priority there?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there wasn't really a priority target. Like, their entire backline was super squishy. Our entire game plan was kind of just the cooldown track there. Like, the thing with Double Mage and Ana is they're really, really reliant on cooldown. So once they blow those initial abilities, trying to, like, just one-shot someone, they kind of don't have a team fight left. So initial plan was, when they use their initial abilities, we have Bunker, we have White Main Ult, we have a lot of ways to kind of circumvent that, kind of delay the fight until... we have heroes that essentially just like right click on people and, so yeah. And also we took the Gul'dan because Ana really struggles with that spread AoE damage. Like, she's really good at healing a single target. But, once we had the Gul'dan, just kind of like poke down their entire team and then kind of just like, ran it down with the Blaze Phoenix. I feel like we were able to win pretty dominantly.
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously it worked out Bobo, yeah.
Yeah, I have to ask. I don't think you guys let them start their own turret camp at any point in that game. I mean, every single time, including at, level 3, you guys are going hard for that turret camp. Was that a feeling that, I mean, is that based on your guys' playstyle, or was that draft? I think at one point you guys had 4 items, if not 5.
Yeah, so...
Just no fear at all going. No fear at all going for every turret camp that you could. We
have the items.
All right, I don't know. What can I say? I'm a collector. Yeah, but big thing that game was, Ana is a complete monster late game. Like, if you ever let an Ana go to late game, you'll actually see how ridiculous her healing can be. Especially since the comp was really reliant on nano boost. We really wanted to take early game fights, so that's kind of why you saw a ton of those like early turret invades. I think the first one didn't super pan out. We were a little slow to rotate and let them actually win that fight. I think they took like a 5v4 or something like that.
Yeah, no kills though. I think no kills was the key. Right. I think you guys did manage to get out of there just safe, and that could have been definitely a turning point in that part of the game.
That's fortunate, but our game plan was to control the items. Take early game fights over those item camps, and snowball that into objectives, snowball that into level leads, and kind of just win the game from there.
Okay.
All right. Well, Bobo, Mongoose, any final questions before we let our boy go here?
I had one, but Mongoose, anything for you?
How profusely was Gul'dan thanking Blaze in the bottom lane? Because I thought he was donezo after the Sleep Dart APOC, and I think adults with jobs did too, but he managed to just dive inside that bunker there.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? Got to protect my boy. So, yeah, I think he felt pretty good, and yeah.
And I actually wanted to ask you about your boy. Tell us about Justice, who's coming into the team this season.
Yeah. So Justice is actually someone we've known a lot. We played with him in Dorm last year. Last year was the Dorm. He took kind of a backseat this last NGS season because we were bringing in Time, who's actually now a freshman out of school. So that's really cool. But yeah, this season, Time told us he wanted to focus on trademark gaming, and so we brought Justice back in to start, and it's a real blast to have him back.
Well, that's obviously worked out for you in that last game. Again, congratulations at least splitting the series. I feel like did a really great job in that last game. So no other questions here. So do you have any shout-outs to us, good sir?
Yeah, huge shout-outs to NGS and everyone who helped put this cast together. Especially to you guys, the casters. Always love watching the VODs after every match. Huge shout-outs to my team. We all played really well. Super, super fun to play with all of them. Huge shout-outs to Adults with Jobs. They definitely gave us a good series. They're a team we actually have a bit of history with, so it's super fun anytime we get to play against them. And huge shout-outs to anyone who watched, Twitch chat, anyone who cheered us on, or the enemy. And yeah, I think that's about it. Thanks so much.
All right, well, thanks again for coming, Bobo. Any shout-outs from you?
Oh man, where's my notepad? Okay, geez, let's see. So this is a really an idea that has the game of the week. This has kind of come and gone a little bit throughout the seasons, but now that we have 175 teams and we are no longer short on casters or teams or great matchups, the NGS game of the week is going to be here every single week. So hey, hit the follow button up in the corner there, guys. If you want to keep up with us. But the shout-outs, I have to start with the creative department, Crow, Snail, and Tax1K for putting together all the overlays that we have here. This stuff is awesome. Throughout the season, they're going to be working hard to come up with some really new and cool tools that we hope to show off in the game of the week, in the playoffs, and then hopefully would love to have our casters get their hands on all this tech as well. Oh boy! Shout outs to everybody on the production side. As always, thanks for Seventh and Arch. Thank you, Cersei, for blessing the tweets out. The social media side. Boy, am I going to forget anybody? Odd Thought for the article because that was clutch. I definitely love seeing the writing team coming through. That was a big help. Love to get that read in before. And you gents, you guys were handpicked here for the first game of the week cast, and I could not be happier.
Well said. And Mongoose, thank you for coming. Where can the folks here find you?
Well, twitch.tv/mongoose_22 is where I normally am. Saturday, I will be here. I will be back here Saturday, twitch.tv/Nexus Gaming Series. We have 2 games, 4:30 and 6 o'clock. I will be here casting those guys. It will be blasting Burros again, actually. So if you like what you saw tonight, come back Saturday for some of that. And also, definitely have to thank the unsung hero of the cast, Falendrith. You guys don't see what he is doing, but he is so good at what he does, and all of the awesome production stuff that happens is largely his doing. So always hats off to Falendrith when he's around. Great stuff. And thanks for including me. I was honored to be asked to do it and happy to do so. And it was a lot of fun getting to work with both of you guys as always.
Well said, and we appreciate you guys all being here once again. And welcome, shout out, by the way, to Twitch chat. Thanks everyone for showing up tonight. If you really enjoyed this stream and you want to follow us some more, you can follow us here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Nexus Gaming Series. On Twitter as well, Nexus_series. On YouTube, we have some highlights there as well. I mean, there's a lot going on. Find us on nexusgamingseries.com. You can get the link to our Discord. Having a lot of fun here. It's been a great night, everyone. My name is Gravesville. You can find me at twitch.tv/Gravesville. I've got a doubleheader NGS tomorrow, 2 Storm division matchups. That'll be starting at 6:30 Pacific, so you can find me there. But yeah, it's been a great start to the season. NGS Game of the Week, #1 in the banks. Thanks everyone for watching. That's going to be it for us tonight. You guys have a good one, and we'll see you later.